The pandemic turned office life upside down, and in doing so, shrank people's social networks. So how do you rebuild some of these connections? And why is it important to do so? Katy George, a senior partner and chief people officer at McKinsey Company, is here now to provide a roadmap on how to strengthen these bonds in the workplace. But what do we know about how the pandemic changed the way that people socialize and people's social networks?
Well, we know that the pandemic really devastated people's social networks, both in the workplace and outside. And the social fabric, particularly of a lot of companies, has been frayed, that we don't have the same social capital, the same degree of trust, the same kind of relationships to build on that we did several years ago.
Explain what you mean by social capital of a company.
So I think of social capital as the collection of all of the relationships that people have in the company that we draw on, almost like a bank. And we often draw on the social capital to get things done, knowing that people will trust in the decisions we're making or in the good intent that we have.
What's the simplest or easiest way to go about building your social networks after basically ignoring it since 2020?
Well, I think there's lots of things you can do, both through virtual connections, but even more through in-person connections. Just being explicit about who are the people I'd like to build relationships with, who are the people that I want to give me advice, who are the people who could create opportunities for me. Too often we create networks of people who are great cheerleaders, but maybe cannot create real opportunities. And then how do I find ways of getting to know those people? Could be through just a very direct introductory kind of meeting. More often, it's by finding a way to work together and really build a relationship based on creating chemistry and seeing what each other can do.
What happens if you don't invest in your social network?
I think it limits the kind of career advancement opportunities that you have. So certainly if you're doing fantastic work and people on your team and your boss sees it, that's wonderful. But often career progression is not just linear, it's also horizontal, taking on new responsibilities in different ways, getting apprenticeship from people who have new styles that you otherwise wouldn't be working with. And so finding ways of building relationships outside of just your kind of day job often is a critical part of advancement.
When you say apprenticeship, it makes me think it's something for entry-level workers or people who are still fairly junior. What about for mid-career employees?
So we actually think apprenticeship is critical for every stage of your career, including senior people. In fact, now more than ever. So one of the things we talk a lot about at McKinsey is two-way apprenticeship, because what we're realizing is some of our most senior people are accomplished in fields the way they grew up in those fields, and they're changing rapidly thanks to technology and AI and analytics. And so our senior people need to be just as dynamic in learning from some of the new joiners, to learn some of these new skills, new technologies, and to embed them into what they do, just as they are teaching the new joiners the skills that they've developed.
If there's one thing you can do to expand your social network, what should that one thing be?
Think of 3 people who are doing work that you would like to do someday and call them.
Have a good conversation with them and ask them about how they got there and what they're doing.
Exactly.